Welcome to this episode of the Sports Detective Podcast Show. My name is James Williams, and today, just exactly how bad are things in Wisconsin right now? What are we talking about? Well, Saturday, after Wisconsin lost 27-10 at home against Maryland in a very disappointing loss, Luke Fickell was asked in the post-game press conference what it was like to be booed at and to have fans chanting "Fire Fickell" at him, and we'll go ahead and listen to what Luke Fickell had to say to that. And then we'll talk about Luke Fickell's Wisconsin tenure on the other side.
Frustration from the fan base. I'm sure you heard the chants during the game.
What did they say? Something?
What's your message to the fan base that clearly is frustrated?
I feel what they, I feel what their pain is, but there's nothing that we can do other than keep grinding, keep working. We have to play better. So, I don't get upset. I don't, lose my mind because of what the way they feel. They're passionate about what they do and what they want to see, and that's what you love about this place, and that's what that's what you signed up for when you came here, knowing that this place is passionate about. They've got a history, and they expect more, just like I do.
Some people might be watching Wisconsin start off 2-2 this year and might be saying like, hey, like, why are they so upset? They lost to Alabama, which might end up being like one of the better teams in all of the sport. Maryland might end up being a pretty decent team in the Big Ten. Obviously, they're 4-0 to start the year. Like, why are they so upset at this result when they have 8 other games for the rest of the season where they can judge Luke Fickell and, this entire Wisconsin team? The reason that fans are so upset, the reason that they are booing, is that this Luke Fickell era has been incredibly disappointing, and there is absolutely nothing to look forward to with this current Wisconsin team, or even just looking, as of right now, looking at this Wisconsin team in the future. Let's go back in time, and let's look at when Wisconsin fired Paul Chryst and then brought in Luke Fickell. Okay, Wisconsin was a really good program in the 2010s. I believe they had like a 5 out of 6 year stretch where they're winning at least 10 games a year. Okay, they're a very good team. 2021, Paul Chryst's last full season at Wisconsin, they go 9-4. Okay, they go 9-4. The next year they start off 2-3. They have a huge blowout loss to Illinois and Burt Bielema. They fire Paul Chryst. Paul Chryst, in his 8 years at Wisconsin, was 67-26. He won 72% of his games. Guys, that firing of Paul Chryst was a message that, hey, 8-8 ain't good enough here. Or excuse me, 8-8. 8-4 ain't good enough here. 7-5 ain't good enough here. We want to be winning 9, 10, 11, 12 games a year. Now, we know we're not Ohio State. We know we're not supposed to be, the top of the Big Ten and win 5 straight Big Ten titles. But on our best years, we should be right up there with a lot of those teams. We should be a top 4 or 5 program in the entire conference. That is why they paid Luke Fickell $8 million a year. That's why Luke Fickell looked like such a splashy hire. That's why Luke Fickell, for a while, guys, he had opportunities to leave Cincinnati. That wasn't just Wisconsin. He had other opportunities. He went to Wisconsin and he was like, hey, I think this is a great opportunity to go and succeed there. And the thing that's very frustrating, I'm sure, to Wisconsin fans is, you went and you made the money move to get rid of Paul Chryst and to bring in Luke Fickell. This is something I do not know the source of why this is the case, but since Luke Fickell has gotten there, recruiting has not been good for Wisconsin. It has not been good. If you go back to, let's go back to Paul Chryst's last full year at Wisconsin. So they were 3rd in the Big Ten in recruiting. They were 16th in the entire country. The next year, his last year, the transition year, 11th in the Big Ten, 44th in the country. Luke Fickell's first year, 59th in the country, 12th in the Big Ten. Second year, 7th in the Big Ten, 23rd in the country. Last year, 27th in the country, 9th in the Big Ten. And currently this year, they are 16th in the Big Ten, 66th in the country. It's okay to have some of those numbers, but if you're going to do that, you either have to complement that with incredibly splashy transfer portal classes, which they have not done, They have not done that. Or you have to really develop a lot of these players and have this be a developmental program where it's like, hey, you do the median of all 4 or 5 of those classes or whatever. They're like, let's say it's like 31st, but you develop them where they are a top 20 class, on the field with their performance. And that is just not the case. We brought up the 72% winning percentage with Paul Chryst. Luke Fickell is 15-15 right now in his time at Wisconsin. The whole point of bringing in Luke Fickell was like, oh, we got to change the identity of Wisconsin. It's too run heavy. We got to get into the 21st century with our strategy of this Wisconsin football program. And they tried it. They tried with Phil Longo. They have Jeff Grimes is the OC right now. And I'm just watching Wisconsin today. I'm recording this Saturday evening, by the way, after the game. And it's like, there's no identity with this team. There's nothing that they're good at. There is nothing. There is nothing. Offensive line sucks. Quarterbacks are blah. Running backs are eh. Wide receivers are nothing that special. I mean, you can maybe look and there's some individual players here or there on, like, I think they have a pretty decent right tackle. One of the cornerbacks is pretty good. You can go to different spots and be like, hey, that's pretty good. But there's no identity of this team. There's none. There's no toughness. This team looked unprepared, not well coached. And the scariest part was they looked kind of untalented on the field against Maryland today. They had a blocked punt, a blocked kick. Like, this is year 3. And you're looking at other programs all across the country, because it used to be the thing, like, hey, I used to be the guy when it was people were going after coaches and they were saying, hey, let's put this guy's head on a stick and let's get him out of here. Let's somebody needs to pay for this terrible season. I was always the guy like, whoa. Let's pump the brakes. It's okay to have a bad season every once in a while. It's okay to, take time to develop and to build a program. That's okay. That's okay. But we live in a different era of college football right now. We live in an era where Curt Cignetti can take over Indiana year 1 and get them to the college football playoff. In year 2, he's at home playing a top 10 Illinois, and he drops 60 on them. Year 2, Curt Cignetti. We're in year 3, Luke Fickell, by the way. We'll get to the rest of Wisconsin's schedule, by the way, here in a little bit. But I'm just looking at Wisconsin right now, and I'm looking at just Wisconsin this year and just what we have now, the available information we have now on all the other teams in the Big Ten. And if we just did, not even including this year, just the next 2 to 3 years. So basically, let's do 2026 to 2028. Which programs in the Big Ten would you want to bet on for win totals from 2026 to 2028 over Wisconsin right now? The list is kind of big, guys. Programs that I think are in a better position in the Big Ten than Wisconsin: Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, Michigan, Iowa, Nebraska, Illinois, Indiana, USC, Washington. I mean, I don't want to put Maryland ahead of Wisconsin, but Maryland beat Wisconsin at their place today. So I feel like I have to put them there. And then we get into this next little category of teams where I'm not sure. Would you rather bet on the next 3 years of Minnesota? I don't know. Rutgers? I don't know. They look decent Friday night against Iowa, but it seems like all of their fans are tired of Greg Schiano. Michigan State, it's still early with Jonathan Smith. I think I would like to take Jonathan Smith the next 3 years of him over the next 3 years of Luke Fickell. The only 3 programs in the Big Ten right now that I am sure Wisconsin is in a better situation at, and I could be wrong on some of these too: UCLA, Northwestern, Purdue. Now, it's a big conference, but again, we have dropped off dramatically from where we were in 2021, where we were in the middle of the 2010s with this team, where this program was a decade ago. This program has fallen off. Luke Fickell was brought in to fix it. Supposed to be the splashy hire, the savior. We're paying you $8 million a year for, to save this program. There's been nothing impressive with recruiting. There is no Dylan Raiola. There is no Bryce Underwood. It's not like Wisconsin's poor, right? It's not like this is one of those programs that is like they're getting held back by some sort of financial issues. There's money in the state of Wisconsin. Now, they might not have like an overarching, billionaire, like Miami does, or, Creighton does in basketball, or the Texas Tech guy, or, all of the Michigan people with the Larry Ellison and what are some other ones off the top of my head? Phil Knight at Oregon. You don't have, like, at least that I know of, some sort of, like, one billionaire that is like, the offensive line is bad this year. We will fix this. We will fix this with my millions of dollars that I will donate to NIL. There's no identity with this team. And the scary thing is here too, this is the rest of the year for Wisconsin. Now, you can kind of predict that Wisconsin, that even if the players start developing, even if the team, did actually make improvements, that maybe you wouldn't see it on the win-loss record headed into this year, because the schedule is very treacherous, because we already played Alabama out of conference. Then Wisconsin is playing at Michigan, at home against Iowa, at Oregon, home against Washington, at Indiana, home against Illinois, at Minnesota. Is the only one that's like you can maybe pencil in as a win, Minnesota. And again, rivalry game, you're on the road, last game of the year. This could very well be a 2-10 team. Wisconsin might be a 2-10 team. That might be how this season ends for them. It's sad. It's sad. This is supposed to be one of the better programs in the Big Ten. And they're not recruiting like it. They're not playing like it. And as far as I can tell, NIL-wise, there's no splashes. There's no splashes. They're not recruiting like it. They're not spending like it. Wisconsin, is it time to fire Luke Fickell? Is he the problem? Is it that's something I don't know. Is some of this recruiting stuff because of Luke Fickell and the job that he's not doing, him and his staff are not doing? Or is this something where the NIL people of Wisconsin are opening up the piggy bank? Because that's just kind of how you get stuff done now. And you're in the Big Ten. You can maybe get away with not opening up the piggy bank for the most part in the Big 12 or the ACC. But Big 10, SEC, piggy bank's got to be open. You got to be big spenders. If you want to get to you want to be the program that Wisconsin wants to be, where they're a ranked team and they're competing for playoff spots every year. I think that's what Wisconsin wants to be. And if we had a 12-team playoff from from 2005 to 2018, 19 or whatever, Wisconsin would have been in a spot where they're competing for the playoff every single year. And they are not remotely close to that right now. Luke Fickell's buyout, I believe, is around $30 million. I'm not sure if that's something that they would entertain. I'm not sure. I know the big thing with Wisconsin, just kind of going through online, listening to what people were saying, was like, hey, the 2024 class was kind of like the big, that was the class that we had here that was 7th in the Big Ten, 23rd in the entire country. Those guys are basically like redshirt freshmen this year. So maybe you give them another year and maybe those guys start popping next year, another transfer portal class. I don't know. Wisconsin's not in a good spot right now. That's all I know. Not in a good spot. A lot of programs in the Big Ten, I'd take over them now for the next few years. All right, that's going to do it for this episode here today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like this video if you like this content. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. We are pumping out a bunch of college football content. We did a bunch of videos last week. We're going to be doing a bunch more this week. So if you like videos like this, if you like college football, if you like just football talk in general, we do a little bit of NFL. We are going to be pumping out videos like this. We're also going to be having guests on to talk about certain programs, and just, we like diving into this stuff. Leave a comment. What do you guys think about Luke Fickell's job security? Is he going to get another year? Is he going to get canned? What is going on there? Do you guys agree with my analysis? Disagree with my analysis? Would love to hear you guys' thoughts. And thank you guys very much for watching. Again, subscribe, and we'll talk to you next time.